Rayman Can, today I'm going to show you how to do a water change for a fish tank that has been neglected for quite a while because the person holding the camera has not done it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm going to show you guys how to do a water change on a 150-gallon aquarium. Let's get started. So the products you are going to need to do this job is a towel, step stool, bucket, rag, tap water conditioner, water hose, siphon, trigger clamp, fishnet, and dish wand. By the way, you pretty much should be able to find all of this stuff at the local stores in your area. However, I am going to put Amazon affiliate links below. It doesn't cost you anything extra to purchase those things via those links, but it does help out the channel if you want to do it that way. If not, like I said, all of this stuff is pretty much readily available at your local pet stores, Walmarts, places like that. So right off the back, I'm going to give you a very interesting story about this aquarium at the end of this video, particularly about that orange fish right there, that parrot cichlid. But just for now, this aquarium is approximately 9 years old. That parrot cichlid is 16 years old. A lot of people don't believe it, but I guarantee you he is. I will tell you the story at the end of the video. There's a Placo fish in there, otherwise known as a suckerfish. He is 16 years old. And there's another suckerfish in there, a Placostomus, and that one is 4 years old. This tank had more fish fairly recently, but they all passed away because of old age. And there's a reason why we haven't added more fish just yet. So the first thing I do is unplug the circulation pump and heater before we start to drain water. Next, I'll lay out my towel, put my bucket on top of it, then grab my step stool and siphon tool. Now, this is going to be approximately a 60% water change because it's been neglected for a lot longer than it should have been. And I'm going to use this siphon tool to take out about 10% of the water. The remaining 50% the water hose is going to do. And while I'm taking out the 10% of water, I'm also going to be cleaning the aquarium sand at the same time. Now, what I'm doing right here is creating a siphon. There are much better siphon tools than this one right here. This one's very old. I just refuse to buy a new one for some reason, but I'll put some affiliate links to much better ones with pumps. Sometimes I just go old school and I put my hand over the hose. I put my mouth onto my hand, not the hose, and I suck to create a siphon. This is a skill. I do not let the water touch my mouth. Right when I see the water starting to come up, I hurry up and point the hose into the bucket, and that is our siphon right there. Again, do not let the water touch your mouth. You can get very sick. There's all type of bacteria. There could be parasites in there and who knows what. So, you know, I'm not recommending this method, but this is just the way I do it with my old siphon tool that I have. From here, we're going to suck out approximately 20% of the water while disturbing the sand and releasing it at the same time. I do this method over and over and over again until we get the water down 20%. If the water in this aquarium was in better shape, I probably would only take out about 10% and then let the water hose siphon out the remaining amount that I'm going to drain out. But because of the condition the gravel's in, we're going to take out 20% with the siphon tool. But I had originally planned to only take out 10% with this tool. After making multiple trips to the bathroom to empty the buckets of water, now it's time to wash the inside of the aquarium glass with this dish wand tool. Notice that the aquarium filter is still on, by the way. It's helping with sucking up a lot of that debris while I'm doing this. Once the water starts to get close to the strainer tube that sucks up the water, I'll go ahead and unplug the filter. By the way, be careful while using the dish wand tool. You don't want to, once you start to get closer to the bottom and you start to kind of get closer to that sand, the gravel, you don't want to, scratch the sand up against the glass like you see here, because that will create scratches on your glass. I'm just showing you this to give you an example, but you may not see it, but once you fill it up with clean water, you'll have scratches all on your glass. So just try to keep that in mind. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and unplug the aquarium filter because now it's time to start the real siphon with the water hose, where we're going to take out the remaining 40% of the water approximately. The way I do this, I have this nice little setup in my basement where I hook up the water hose. This part of the house is lower than where the aquarium is located. And what we're doing here, we're creating a siphon to drain the remaining 40% of the water into this utility sink that you see right here. So once we have the hose hooked up to the faucet, we're gonna run the other end of the hose into the water tank itself. Make sure there's no kinks in the hoses, and we're gonna lock it in place or secure it in place with a trigger clamp. From here, we turn the water on, cold or hot, it doesn't matter. We're only gonna have it on for about approximately 7 seconds, just enough for the water to flow from the faucet into the aquarium. Once that starts happening, turn the water off right away and then take off the water hose and you will have a siphon. And we just let the water drain down into the sink from there. By the way, make sure you find a way to secure the hose onto the sink. You don't wanna come downstairs, you know, a few minutes later or whatever, and you got the hose pouring water all over the floor. And so at this point, water's leaving the aquarium. I'm gonna use this time to grab my dish wand and do some more wiping the inside of the glass. So at this point, we have the aquarium drained right around 60%, give or take. I usually use this time to rearrange what I call the fish tank furniture. We don't have as many fish anymore, so that may not be necessary. You know what, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna still do it. I'm also going to use this time to clean out the aquarium filter as well. We normally do it right around 3 months. This one probably hasn't been cleaned in about 4 months, if I'm being honest. So I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video. I'll make a separate video on how to clean out a aquarium filter, because you may have a different one from me, so I don't see the point of putting it in this video. Although cleaning them out is pretty much kind of the same. From what I've had some different ones over the years, and I kind of use the same method to clean them out. We have the Fluval FX4. We have the Fluval FX4 for this 150 gallon aquarium. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now, and then we're gonna go ahead and refill the tank. All right, the filter's clean, the aquarium's about 70% clean. Now it's time to refill it up with water. I have this set up right here where it allows me to use hot and cold water. I generally keep the temperature for this tank right around 79 degrees, give or take. Sometimes I'll go as low as 76. I never go any higher than 80, and that's just based off the type of fish that I've always had in this aquarium. Now, while the aquarium is filling up with water, this is when I would add my tap water conditioner. I would always use this API brand that you see here, or a Seachem. At the moment, I only have API, so that's what I'm going with. Make sure you read the instructions on the back of the bottle that you have. It tells you how much to put in based off the size of the aquarium that you have. And I pour my tap water conditioner in as I'm adding water. I don't do it in the beginning, I don't do it in the end. I just do it one time as I'm adding water. Now we just have to wait for the tank to fill up. By the way, since this is such a large tank, I check the water from time to time to make sure it's putting out the right temperature. If you live in a house with multiple people, you never know. Someone could have took a bath, turned the washing machine on, you never know. So at this point, the aquarium's pretty full. The water looks a little cloudy. That's pretty normal, especially for a water change of this size. Also, we disturbed a lot of particles. Now it's time to remove the hose and the clamp and put everything away. I keep the hose that I took out of the aquarium in the upright position. Meanwhile, I unscrew the other end and I kind of lift it up to get some of the excess water out, so when I put it away, all that old water won't just be stuck in there getting stale. Now I want to put my 2 pieces of aquarium top glass back on top of the aquarium. By the way, I don't like these pieces. I really don't. I think they're fragile. The one piece always disconnects from the other, but it has to be done. And there you have it. We did our water change and we also cleaned out our canister filter. Now in approximately 12 to 24 hours, this water will be crystal clear. And I'm going to show you that, by the way, but I'm also going to tell you the story I was talking about at the beginning of this video of the history behind this tank, the history behind that particular parrot cichlid, and pretty much every fish that we have in this tank right now, which we only have 3, by the way. Okay, so now my story as promised. So this video you're looking at right here, this is from 12 years ago. And yes, that's one of the parrotfish that you've just seen. I'm not sure which one, I'm really not, but one of them is him or her, I don't know. I never knew. Also, at that point in time, you may also notice that there are 2 other fish in there as well, and they are green sevrums. At that point in time, they are approximately 1.5 years old. And one other thing you may notice is that this is a completely different aquarium. This aquarium is 30 gallons. Now, we have to go back farther than this, but unfortunately, I do not have any video footage farther than this. I actually do, but I could not find it. This parrotfish, these 2 parrotfish, I picked these up from, I believe it was Petco. Got them from Petco in 2008. They weren't even orange at the time. They were like a grayish color. They were really small. You gotta believe me, right? And we had already had a parrot cichlid in this 30-gallon tank at the time. And that one was approximately, I think, 3 years old. It was mature when we got it. We paid a pretty penny for it at the time. To me, at least to me, it was like a pretty penny. It was like $30 or something like that. But these 2 were small, dark, and gray, and they were very cheap. And we bought them home and we put them in this 30-gallon tank with the other parrot cichlid. There was also a Jack Dempsey in there, along with a red devil. Now, my fish knowledge at the time, I didn't know much about fish. We were told this was okay. This was a horrible idea, and I'm going to explain why. The red devil fish was absolutely harassing everybody. And I can tell you a lot more about that story, but the short version of it is we had to get rid of these 2 parrotfish right here at the time, and I gave them to my brother because he had an aquarium which was a lot more peaceful, and he took them. And we left the red devil and the Jack Dempsey in the tank together, and those were the 2 fish that we had in the 30-gallon tank. This was around 2008-ish. If we didn't do that, these 2 fish would be dead, because trust me, the red devil, he cleared out the entire tank pretty soon after that. And by the way, the red devil was a gorgeous fish. Big, looked like it was always smiling, but it wasn't the right fit for me at the time. So I kind of advertised giving him away. We had an apartment at the time, and my landlord, she said she was definitely interested in it. She said she had a tank that could accommodate his size, and so no charge, take them. And she wanted them. I'm not even making this up. Approximately a month later, when it came time to pay the rent, I asked her how's he doing, and she told me he cleared out her entire tank. I thought for sure we were probably gonna lose the apartment, but no, she just said, you know, it is what it is. So fast forward 3 years later, we now have a peaceful tank, and my brother's moving. He can no longer keep the fish. So guess what? He says, hey, those 2 parrotfish, you want them back? And I was like, sure, why not? We never had a problem with those 2 fish. By this time, they were a lot bigger and a lot more, their color really popped. And we only had 1 fish at the time, so it was a no-brainer, a very peaceful tank. So we added the 2 parrotfish. We ended up buying 2 sevrum fishes, those sevrums you just saw, and we had 1 pleco fish. Not long after that, we ended up buying a house, and we realized that the sevrums were getting really, really big, and the parrotfish were also growing as well, but the sevrums were really growing. So we decided to upgrade to a 150-gallon aquarium, and that's what we did. And that's what you see right here. This is when we initially transferred them over from the 30-gallon to the 150-gallon. This is around the year 2015. So at this point, the 2 parrotfish are about 9 years old, and the sevrum fish are about, I think, 3 to 4 years old, something like that. The sevrum fish are getting really big, by the way, but everybody's pretty much getting along. There was some altercations here and there, but for the most part, they kind of got along with each other. And by the way, this is pretty much the last footage that I have of the sevrum fish and the other parrotfish. Over the last 6-7 years, I just haven't really taken any videos of them. I just have not. We probably have some somewhere. We've had issues with iCloud and stuff like that. I'm sure we have something. And people have come over and taken many videos of them because they've always been like, those are some nice looking fish. But we just don't have any. And at the time making this video, I didn't feel like searching for any. So just, this is the last footage you're gonna see of the two Severums and one of the parrotfish. The Severum fish got twice the size that you see them here, and the parrotfish got slightly bigger than you see them here. But one of the Severum fish died in 2023, the other one died in 2024, so they both lived right around 10 to 11 years. The other parrotfish died in 2022. He lived for approximately 14 years. And that brings us to today. By the way, this is the after footage. So the one parrotfish that we have left that's in there, he's 16 years old, and his best days are definitely behind him. The Plecostomus is in there, the largest one. He is also right around 16 years old. A good friend of mine passed away 4 years ago, and his wife gave me all the fish out their aquarium. However, at the time, a lot of my fish were still alive, so the fish weren't compatible. So the only thing I took was one of these Plecos. I actually took all the fish out because I took them out the aquarium for her because she didn't know how to do it or how to maintain the tank. And I gave the rest of them away to a pet store. It was another large Pleco fish, and there was a really, really large albino Pleco. And then some other fish. I forgot what kind they were, but they definitely were not compatible with the ones that I had in the tank at the time. And the smaller Pleco that we have in there now, we got him about 4 years ago, right before my friend passed away, and his wife gave us the really large one, so we just decided to keep both of them. And the reason why we haven't added any new fish to this aquarium at the moment, because I'm not exactly sure what direction we're gonna go in going forward. It's something to think about. So we may add fish to this aquarium in the future, probably will. I just don't know, what kind yet. So we have two younger kids. They're getting older. They're showing interest in the tank. Maybe we'll let them pick out some fish, and we'll just, kind of wait for a fresh start, get some fresh decor in there. I call it furniture. And yeah, that's really it. We just haven't come up with a conclusive idea on how we want to move forward. But just as a reminder of how the water looked before the water change, here are some before and after shots. And it's hit or miss with me. Sometimes I'll add stress coat right after a water change, and then if I was going to check my nitrate levels, I would usually do that 24 hours after the water change. My tank isn't nearly as crowded as it used to be, so I haven't been strictly doing those things like I used to anymore. But in the not too distant past, that was a regular routine for me, and I think it's a really good idea to continue to do that. So yeah, this is approximately 24 hours later. Over the next day, the water will get slightly clearer, but pretty much it's going to look like this. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Questions or comments, please let me know. As I said earlier, the products that I use to do the water change, I'll put Amazon affiliate links below. If you know anyone that can use this information, share this video with them. Subscribe, like, all of that. Take care. I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.